Hey everyone, so we are back with our terms series, okay? And we have two terms today that we're going to simplify that you'll definitely be seeing in the real estate exam, and that is void contract and voidable contract. So let's get into it. So, a void contract is a contract that was never legal to begin with. Okay. It was never a legit contract to begin with. All right. So in the book, it says a void contract has no legal force or effect because it lacks some or all the essential elements of a contract. A contract that is void was never a legal contract. So that's pretty much what I mentioned. It was a deal that was never legal to begin with. It was never valid to begin with. That is what a void contract is. And before I get into what a voidable contract is, or before I get into some void contract examples, I think it's important that we understand what makes a contract. What are the five elements of a contract? And the five elements of a contract are: you need offer and acceptance. That's number one. Number two, you need legal parties. Three, you need consideration. Number four, you need consent. And number five, you need legal purpose. It doesn't have to go in order, but you need five of those things to make a contract legal, purposeful, valid. If one of those things are missing, then you have a void contract. So let me get into some examples of what a void contract is. So an example of a void contract would be, I'm going to use myself. I see a house outside and I'm like, I'm going to sell this house. I want to sell this house. I can't sell this house. I'm not the owner of the house. So that makes it a void contract. You cannot sell what is not yours, that you do not own. That's illegal. So that makes it a void contract. Another example of a void contract is a incompetent party. Okay? That is somebody that signs a contract. They can't. So an incompetent party is somebody that is not able to do so, right? So that's somebody that is drunk, and somebody that can have some mental issues, but it has to be legally declared by a judge um, for that person to be incompetent. So that incompetent party has to be declared by law, by a judge. Um, and if that's the case, they're not able to sign documents. So that makes a contract a void contract. You cannot have a contract signed by somebody that by law is stated to be an incompetent party. Another example of a void contract is if the agreement is missing essential items, like what is the price, a description of what I'm signing, what's the purpose for me signing this agreement, like the agreement that you decide to sign, or whatever party is signing, it has to have descriptions. It has to describe, it has to have price, it has to have consideration um for the parties to be signing. So if it doesn't have any of those stuff, it's considered a void contract. All right, so voidable contract, on the other hand, is a real agreement. It's valid, but one party or both parties can walk away from it. They can cancel at any time. So, examples of avoidable contract is if a buyer was pressured to sign an agreement that they didn't feel ready to, that would be a voidable contract. So, examples of avoidable contract is if a buyer was pressured to. Another example of avoidable contract is if a seller lied about water damage in their basement, that it gets flood, and then the buyer finds out, the buyer can walk out because the seller lied. That makes it a voidable contract. And I want to go back to the first example of the buyer feeling forced to sign the agreement. The reason it's voidable is because anybody needs to voluntarily, they need to feel freely, they have to want to sign something. If they don't want to, they don't, they're not voluntarily like, oh, I want to do this. That makes a contract voidable because they can walk away anytime. They can come back and say, I was forced to do this, I was afraid for my life, I was scared. Because any of that can happen, that makes it a voidable contract. And let me read in the book what voidable contract states. A voidable contract appears on the surface to be valid, but it may be rescinded or disaffirmed by one or both parties based on some legal principle. And I'm going to read it one more time. A voidable contract appears on the surface to be valid, but it may be rescinded or disaffirmed by one or both parties based on some legal principles. So, you guys, pretty much to wrap up what void contract and voidable contract means, if you're getting ready for your exam, think of it like this. Void, it's not valid at all. It was never valid. Void, not valid at all. It was never valid to begin with. Voidable contract can be canceled by any side. Voidable can be canceled by any side. A voidable contract can be canceled by any side. A voidable contract can be canceled by any side, by any party. Okay, you guys. Hey, y'all. So I just want to thank you guys for coming along on these series of simplified terms for real estate. I hope the studying is going well. I hope you guys are crushing it. And again, I just hope these videos help simplify the terms as you're studying. Again, please like, subscribe, come back again. I really appreciate you guys. I really do. Thank you guys so much. Bye.